message. The future is not set.
This is just an overview slide of my background, and I'll tell you a little bit about who I am. I'm George Wang. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer with Peterson Technology Partners, but I have a kind of an interesting background. But I want to know can you guys hear me okay? No. So probably can you guys hear me okay? All right, okay. So I always like to know my audience first before I kind of get into my presentation, because I kind of make it a little bit dynamic based on everyone's background. How many of y'all here are in the cybersecurity profession? Okay, probably everybody. And how many of you are staff, boots on the ground, making a difference every day? Okay. How many are in the not-so-fun management ranks? Anybody? Okay, a couple folks. Anybody at C-level or anything like that over here? All right, right. We got one or two or three folks here. Great. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the human element of GenAI and cybersecurity and how it might affect us. Normally, I'm a first-timer. How many of you guys are first-timers here at CypherCon? I am as well. So I'm not sure what to expect. Normally, when I do presentations, I actually only have 2 slides. Our marketing group put together a whole bunch of slides. I think there's like 24 slides. I'm not going to go through all of them, and my objective is to finish in about half an hour to 45 minutes. So we'll kind of keep it running briskly. I put this slide here. It's not part of the official deck. It's just a little bit about who I am. I like to do a little fun exercise. So I have this. This is the different companies I've worked at throughout my career, different brands. I'm sure you recognize a number of them. Does anybody know what the diagonal line means in this picture? It's just for fun. Anybody want to take a guess what that means? Anybody? All right, go ahead. The number of what? Number of meetings. Number of meetings. That's very interesting. Okay, anybody else? Okay, Badgers, yes. Okay. How about one more? Anybody want to take a guess? Last one? Okay, so I give this presentation, the visual, to a couple of nonprofit boards where I serve in the education space. And it's always wonderful hearing the answers because everybody has a different perspective. That's what makes humans unique. We are all different, and we come from different walks of life, and our perceptions of things are all different, which is making life interesting and sometimes challenging when we do technology deployments. It's always the human factor. So all I meant by this diagonal line, it was actually like the halfway point in my career. I started with very large companies, and then I went to a bunch of mid-caps, and I did 2 startups, and now I'm in a small company. And what I learned in my career was it's really all about people. Okay, here's a fun fact. Does everybody know where cell phones originated from? What company invented the cell phone? Does anybody know? Anyone want to take a guess?
Either Nokia or Motorola.
Nokia or Motorola, yes. Anybody else? StarTech, yes, that's one of the Motorola brands. Okay, maybe one more. Okay, so the first analog phone was invented in 1971 by a great American company. It was called Motorola. And the first digital phone was around 1990. Again, Motorola. First analog signal and the first digital signal that transmitted on this planet Earth was here, in Chicago, Illinois. I was part of the original digital engineering team that implemented the world's first digital cell phone. So for everybody that has a phone, I really apologize because it's like a digital leash. If you lose it, you probably panic. And it was a great American company called Motorola that made that happen about 33 years ago. I'm going to go to the main deck, but that was kind of a fun trivia. Back then, These things were very simplistic. It had, I remember, like 8 kilobytes of RAM, and I think we ran off of like a 64 kilobyte ROM, all low-level assembler code. Does anybody even know what that is, assembler? Yes. So it's very high speed, very high performance, but really hard to program in. Okay, so I'm going to start out, again, I'm with Peterson Technology Partners. I started as a software engineer 33 years ago, eventually worked my way to being a chief information officer, serving for the state of Illinois, overseeing all education agencies. So something I'm passionate about is in education and healthcare, because I think every human needs a good education and good healthcare. So here's going to be something very interesting. So how many of you all have used GenAI or ChatGPT or some variation of this thing? Awesome. And when you utilize these things, how many of you all have acknowledged or admitted that you have used these kinds of things in your work or personal life or things of that sort? Okay. Do you all feel fine with that, or do you feel like maybe you need to not disclose that because maybe they won't think you're as smart or something? Anybody? All right, none that will admit it. So this is really interesting. So I actually generated a number of slides, which you will see here, by simply asking a one-sentence question. And basically, within 2 minutes, it generated 4 slides for me. And so what you see here, the next 4 slides were all generated by ChatGPT. So I'm not going to take credit for this, but this is very interesting. So as I go through just very quickly the positives and negatives, I'm going to start out with the negatives because I want to share personal stories that maybe could impact you or you could relate to. So how many of you all get scams every day, including the most recent one, which is a tollway violation? Does anyone get these things? Okay. My father was scammed. And what I really am bothered by is how they target the elderly. How many of y'all, parents, elderly, have been targeted for scams? Anybody watch that Jason Statham movie called Beekeeper? No? You should watch it. You should watch it. It's a very interesting movie. Anyways, yeah, in his case, it was very much, again, social engineering. He was trying to figure out how to return an eBay item. And so he went into Google and quite simply just searched eBay customer service. He came up with an ad for a phone number, 800 number for eBay customer service. He called the number, and somebody answered with a classic accent, which is overseas, which I'm not going to talk about who it is, but you can probably guess the country. And he was kind of social engineered to eventually install TeamViewer on his phone, and then that linked to his bank account. And then they said, you know, we're going to just have you transfer some money, and this will initiate the customer service thing, and we're going to return it. He got suckered. And the sad thing about this, and I just want to say this, is that the bad part of this is they're so good at the human element of it. How many of you all have, maybe you don't want to admit it, heard these stories where people are kind of suckered into sending money? It could be romance schemes. It could be this scheme, customer support. Another thing, just very quickly, this is more of a practical thing. If you ever got contacted about your son or somebody being in jail or something like that, and you need to send funds to release them, everybody should have a secret password or a safety word so that only your family knows about it. So when they call them or impersonating to be you, that they won't know the password. Why? Because this is very real. Does everybody know that if you feed these public open source tools for about 1 minute of video of you speaking, they can impersonate your voice very, very well? Does everybody know that? It can be done right now very easily. And then with all the spoofing of call IDs, somebody could impersonate you, making a phone call to be you. Have you guys heard about this? It's very real. It happens. So just as a public safety, please, share that information. So these are some of the bad things. But how many of you in the room believe that Gen AI could be used for good things? I listed a couple of these things here. Does anybody have used Gen AI or automated type tools for the things on the left? Any raise of hands? Does anybody want to just share one of these for our audience in our community here? What has worked for you? I saw our Badger friends back there. Okay, so I just repeat. So you used ChatGPT to help produce certain summaries or decks or something of that sort, correct? Policies. Okay, just policies or more than policies? And procedures. Okay, okay. Anybody else want to share something for our community here? Yes.
When we get a ton of phishing emails, I'll feed the headers in so that we can start finding
Yeah.
common things to start finding login rules for.
Yeah, I think that's like the first bullet. A lot of these things, you can feed it for automated kind of detection, certain patterns and things of that sort. Awesome. Maybe one more before I move to the next slide. Okay, I'm just going to move. So this is really interesting. So one of the things ChatGPT is it generated 7 of these boxes around the trends. I have on a piece of paper details, but I'm not going to go into the details of these things. This is very interesting. Does everybody believe at least half of these are important trends in 2025? Does anybody see one that is not, or you would disagree? Anybody want to raise a hand and say anything on these? Or do you think these are somewhat interrelated and maybe they're duplicative? Any comments on these things that ChatGPT generated? Do you feel it's on point? Incorrect? More or less correct? More or less correct? Yes? Okay. This is very interesting. It gave me 4 mitigations on GenAI threats. It didn't have a lot of detail underneath these, but it identified these 4 categories. Do you think these are good, or do you think these are not right? It's just more of a curiosity with the audience. Yes?
How do you monitor AI-generated content in an enterprise environment?
Yeah. So I believe when it fed me the information for that AI, it was basically to monitor for scams, basically, is what it said. So this would be like if you're getting inbound emails of that sort, there may be patterns in. I'm gonna make a joke here. I hope everyone laughs. I need you to buy me some gift cards. How many of y'all have your CEO said you need to buy some gift cards for them right now? Yeah, right now. I need you to get me those gift cards. I know it's funny, but somebody in our company did buy gift cards for the fake CEO. And it was terrible because gift cards are pretty much a little bit very difficult to recover. So anyways, it happens. Okay. But one of the things I do want to say is I do believe that GenAI is good for several reasons. One, I sit on a couple boards that provide boot camps for disadvantaged adults who may not be able to afford college. It's something that I think many of us are lucky to go to college, but some of us are not. One of the things these tools can be used is to kind of level up everyone's knowledge base, right? I'm not saying that people should claim that they know all these things, but imagine this. You know, many years ago, there was a thing called a calculator that was invented. I think some professors said they were evil back then because you had to do everything mathematically on pen and paper. There was a thing called a telephone. There was a thing called the internet. There was a thing called a PC. Some of them in the early days said these were evil things. I think everybody knows we use this now. Does everybody know of a company called Google? Google? Like Google search? Was that an evil thing when it first came out? So I think, oh yes, you have a comment.
Oh, no, I was scratching my head.
Oh, okay. So one of these things is I think just humans naturally are sometimes skeptical about change. And I think one of the most important things I'll say is that if you're a cybersecurity professional, I think people have to adapt to at least understanding what new tools are and to maybe keep an open mind. Even in a case where GenAI and ChatGPT could use for, as we said, positive and negative things, one of the things is in a corporate environment, I believe everyone needs to comply to guardrails that the organization will set up. This is also very interesting. In your organizations, those of you that work out there, how many of your companies have actually stated and shared with your company guardrails or procedures on the use of GenAI, either for internal purposes, for productivity, or for external purposes to better self-service your or your clients? Does anybody, you guys have it? Okay. Yep. Has any company said, do not use it? You are not allowed to use this in the company. Okay. Would you mind sharing with us why? Sure. Family-owned company. Yeah.
Completely family-owned. But yeah, they basically came out right away and said no one can use ChatGPT because I think the news broke about Samsung, like an engineer.
Yeah.
Posted all the code on ChatGPT and everybody was able to see it and use it. So right away they stopped that and then went on to a 6-month project to get licenses for Copilot. So that way we
Which, yeah.
because we did find that people were accessing it, looking through network logs, like at our OT level and putting stuff out there that they were just asking simple questions.
Yeah.
It's done, but that to everyone else, that's information inside of a company.
Yes. Okay. So, and how's the Copilot been working in your private? Oh, that's right. You mentioned that. Okay. Okay. It'd be interesting if you follow up with your friends there to see, how it went. Very good. Thank you. Anybody else want to share anything on this before I move on? Yes, please. Very cool. So she shared they create their own AI. Do you mind if I ask what is the engine that may be powering it? Okay. Yeah. So one of the interesting things about this, have you guys heard that the hackers can actually try to poison data sets and influence these learning engines or models? Does anybody know about this? So this was, hold on the last slide, I think. Give me a second. It's the last bullet on the negative. I don't know, they call it data poisoning. I thought you need first aid or something. But anyways, apparently it's real, supposedly. I don't know what effect by the time it gets into ChatGPT, it affects it. For example, I created these couple slides using ChatGPT. I don't know if that data was poisoned or not. It doesn't look like it was, but I'm sure if there was, my understanding, sometimes legal contracts, people who actually use ChatGPT to generate legal contracts and things of that sort, where they cite cases. And I've heard from my lawyer friends, they actually cited cases that do not exist. And they actually ended up using it without checking whether those case numbers were actually real or not. So that was very interesting. This was a picture. How many of you all are familiar with ChatGPT generate images now for you, just using a set? Have you all used it? This is one that I said something like, generate a futuristic picture about GenAI affecting cybersecurity professionals. It gave me this thing. It's not that great, I think, and I do have a closing slide that is very interesting on an actual picture and what it did, so I'll get to that moment. Okay, so the next couple of slides, I'm going to go really fast. This is just trends in general. Does anybody have an interest in career growth, either for yourself or for members on your team? Just in general, how the market is doing. Does anybody care? Okay. I can tell you, at least in Chicagoland, the market for senior people, directors and above, is really bad. Unfortunately, like every week, I get introduced to another director that's been laid off or impacted. I'm helping about 50 of them right now in Chicagoland. It's very rough at the senior levels. A lot of times it's like a quick cost cutting. Let's get rid of the expensive people, and it's happening. So this is a little bit outdated, so bear with me here. Rise of remote work. So the latest trend right now is the decrease in remote work. So some of our big company friends are now mandating 5 days a week in the office. Any of you all affected by this 5 days a week in the office? So when that happened, it's interesting. I've heard cases where when people are like, okay, fine, we'll quit, they backed off. Other held firm. If you want to leave, go ahead and leave. Anybody want to share this? Because I think this is a very real thing where they're increasing from 2 to 3 back to the old days of 5, you know, like when we used to work 5 days a week. Yeah.
It was actually at my previous company, SCJ, when I first started there, it was 3 days unless you were more than 50 miles away, you're about 2 days in the office.
Distance, yep.
And just in a 2-year period, we went straight to 5 days in the office unless you were 100 miles out.
Yep.
You had to travel in and be in the office no later than 9.
Yeah.
And you couldn't leave before 5.
If you were all managing, did you experience a lot of turnover, maybe low morale or, you know, whatever after this kind of mandate? A lot of people quit or they stayed? Okay, so you quit. All right.
It was that on top of the struggles between me and my director, but that was one of the main points because not being able to see my family
Yeah.
and just being on the road for an hour and a half each way.
Yeah. Yeah. It was interesting. So one of our people that I knew, the CIO, does everybody know Discover Card? So they're in the process of being acquired by Capital One. So this was very interesting, just a fact, fun fact. So they went to a fully remote. They hired people from out of state and everything like that. They have a beautiful campus in Riverwoods. And they were hired with the premise that you would be remote. And then all of a sudden, there was an edict under the former CEO saying, you know what, we've decided starting next year, everybody has to come back into the office. Those of you that are remote, if you want to relocate, we'll help you figure it out. Otherwise, we're sorry, we're going to have to terminate your employment. And it was just like that. And it was going to happen until the Capital One thing happened, and then everything was reset. But when that happened, they were expecting at least a 50% kind of turnover, even people who were local. And they actually said to us and other firms that we need to find 3,000 FTEs in Chicagoland. Can anybody hire 3,000 FTEs in a geographical region for one company? It's probably impossible, at least very good people. But they literally were getting ready to hire 3,000 people. Because of the return to office. That was amazing. Let me ask a quick question on DEI. Does your organization have DEI initiatives? And because of what we hear in the press, in certain places, they're like, you know, say no more DEI, whatever. Is anybody brave enough to talk about DEI? Is this something that is a good thing, a bad thing, or you don't do it in your company, or you do? Anybody? One of the top, is it still one of the top initiatives or has it scaled back? No, still one of the top. Okay. And anybody else? Yes. Okay. It's in their mission. Okay. And you said you work in a university, did you say? Okay, sure. Yeah, with Madison, absolutely. We find that especially a lot of nonprofits, which include higher education, government, things of that sort, they were very much pushing this, but we also see that in corporations, regular corporations as well. This is also very interesting. I know in the state of Illinois, starting in 2025, guess what? Every job for companies, I think, above 100 employees, which is the majority of companies, you have to specify pay bands now in job postings. Is that the case in Wisconsin? I'm afraid I don't know. But in Illinois now, it's very interesting because now they have pay bands. And the funny thing is for companies that do actually follow pay bands, they are accurate. But the companies that don't have them, you know what they do? This is very interesting. I don't know if you've seen this. They put these very wide ranges where it's almost impossible to figure out. It could be the pay ranges from 50 to 150,000 or 100,000 to 200,000. So it's kind of hard to know. But we know that pay ranges is useful because I know when we recruit, we don't want to find people who are out of range because it's kind of a disservice to everyone because you're wasting the candidate's time, you're probably wasting the client's time, and you're wasting probably our time because if it's not really in range, it doesn't make sense to pursue. How many of you all have felt like you were automatically rejected because they asked you to enter that number of how much you want, not how much you make, because it's normally not allowed to ask how much you make. You can ask how much you want to make. You were rejected because you specified, I'd like to make this, and you are just rejected. This is unfortunate. This happens. My advice, is a practical advice, is if you can just say TBD or negotiable, or you give like a crazy range, I would do that just to get past the computer or the ATS system. All right, just very quickly. This is a very real thing. So I tell people as a practitioner, the best way to find people is number one, use your own network. Number two, partner with HR because usually they want to do that first. And if all else fails, use a firm like us, okay? And here's the funny thing. The reason why it's very important if you do apply online, this may be contrary to some of you, do not apply online as a first resort. You always want to be referred by somebody who works there or knows it, if at all possible. Do your due diligence. Find out if there's somebody that you know that used to work there or more ideally does work there and can do it for you. How many people want to guess the number of average applications that hit a position within the first week? Let's say common positions, not very strange niche positions. Like you all in cybersecurity. Anybody want to guess how many applicants within the first week or even the first day? Yes, go ahead. 800. Okay. 1,000, 3 to 4, 800, 3 to 400, 1,000, 1,200. What depend? Yeah, it could be in the thousands. So here's the thing. I'm an engineer, so I can do math. If one HR recruiter does some due diligence of spending, like, let's say, 5 minutes to look at a resume, which really, 5 minutes is not long. Maybe they take 30 seconds, which is really a disservice. The sheer mathematics of one recruiter going through 1,000 resumes, it's impossible. And that is the great irony of this thing is people post, they can save money for sure, but then they get hit with 2,000 resumes and they don't even know where to start. Well, that's not true. They do use ATS systems to filter and rank people, but I think everybody knows those systems are also inherently flawed. Good people get rejected by ATS systems. It's a fact. So I think if you can get referred, that's going to be the best way. Does anybody disagree with referrals? Raise of hands. Awesome. We're in agreement on that. Yes, if you can get a referral, please do so. I just talked about paid transparency. I think it's more than 10 states right now. We talked about DEI, so I'm going to save us time now. All right, this is a fun one. I am a Gen Xer. Are there any Gen Zs in the room? Please feel free to raise their hands. Yes, no? 3. Okay, we have 3 Gen Zers. Is remote work, learning and development, DEI, are those social things important to you all or not so much? Is it important? Not so much. Okay. Oh, go ahead. It's a what? It's important for you. Do you want to say anything about that or?
Yeah, like I have like a good work-life balance now, and so I'm not going to take a position that is going to impact that without it
Right.
basically, so.
Yeah. This is a very important point this gentleman shared is if you're employed, it's a great position to be in because you can choose if you want to move or not. I think one of the terrible things is when you get impacted and laid off, which a lot of people, all levels, speaking to my son, entry-level people are even being laid off right now. It's all over the board. It's hard because when you're not without a job, you sometimes feel like you have to take what you can get. And sometimes you can, if you're able to hold out a little bit longer to get the right position that really fits your values, do so. But it's a little bit easier said than done, right? So one of the things I tell people is if you get a call from a recruiter or something like that, it doesn't hurt to talk. If anything, it keeps you on the ball just in case, right? You know, you have a practice interview. It doesn't mean you have to take the position. It doesn't mean you're not loyal. I know that I have been impacted by reorganizations. It was very hard, right? You stay committed to a company. When I started with Motorola, I met Mr. Jerry Coletti, who had just celebrated 70 years, I didn't say 17, I said 70. He started building walkie-talkies for World War I as a teenager off of the factory floors. And I remember as a summer intern at Motorola, that left an imprint on my brain where like, wow, this guy's been with the company for 7 decades, loyal, committed to the company. And there were a lot of people that have been with Motorola for 30 plus years. Their kids, generational, like, you know, at the GMs of the world, it was like a generational thing. Guess what? Big companies, unfortunately, are not loyal. If you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, especially publicly traded companies, they just wipe out all these people. And I think because of that reality of the, I like to say the good old days where, you know, we were loyal to a company and a company was loyal to us, it's not the case anymore. You always have to be ready that something could happen. And the most important thing, folks, it's your family. Loyalty, I learned, is to your family, not to your company. I hate to say this, please don't record this, but loyalty is always to your family. Because companies can just do anything at any time. I got a little applause. But yeah, no, it's terrible. I mean, the first time it happened to me, I was like devastated, right? And wrong place, wrong time. So please keep your network active because anything could happen at any time, really. All right. We're gonna, let's see, we're gonna get through the rest of this really fast. I wanted to make this more interactive. Is learning important to you all? Because I know like at Motorola, it was awesome. They paid for my master's degree in full while I was working. They don't do that anymore. Nowadays, it's all tax incentive. The magic number is 5,280 because that's how much a company can get reimbursed for each year for helping their employees get trained. Is this important to you all, or do you kind of learn yourself, you know, YouTube, Udemy, you know, all these things out there? Yes, sir.
I would say it's more learning yourself and going to conferences like this and interactive and being able to do that. Going to a college course and getting a sheet of paper in today's, like, there are certain skills I need that.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I've been, when I worked at Foot Locker, they offered a master's degree, and I was like, I'm not gonna, after this, go
Yeah.
to college afterwards. Like, I have my associates, I'm good, I'm in the door.
Yeah.
And I'll take like the certs, like go do the boot camps. Like,
Yeah.
doing that, the 1 to 2 week boot camps to go
Yeah.
get training, those are great.
I don't mean to knock degrees or anything. I got a degree, and you know, how can you turn down a master's for free from Motorola? I did mine right out of school before I had kids and all that because it's really hard to do, you know, going back. It's very difficult. But I'm a big, big believer in certifications and boot camps. Could I get a raise of hand? How many of y'all believe in certifications? Maybe you have a certification. Yes? No? Awesome. Like I see about half. I have a PMP, which is a project management professional. I don't really use it. I keep it active. It's like what I got in 04, so it's like 21 years now. But it's good to have certifications. Does everyone have, I know for cybersecurity, like SysUp and SysM, those are like the gold standard. Any of you guys SysUp? All right, just only a couple, 2 or 3, 4. Those are awesome. Now, SysUps are not easy, like PMP, like you can't just wing it, like let me just take the exam and I'll pass. It's you know, you have to study for it and you have to have the experience. You can't just wing these things. There are some certifications that you could wing. They're not very difficult as well. I'll make fun of one. I'm a Six Sigma guy. That's a Motorola thing. It's not very hard. You could do it. Idle, it's not really that difficult. But they're good to have, and it's good stuff to have. Okay. I'm going to skip over the remote work things. 98% of remote employees prefer the status quo, which is mostly remote work. Is that the case? Everyone likes remote work? I mean, how about hybrid work? Is anyone okay with hybrid work? And you're okay with it? Yeah. You know what? We are humans. We are social creatures, and I believe that relationships are best developed in person. I really do. I find, I used to be in this M&A role where we added companies to our family. Every deal was typically made over a dinner, a lunch, or some kind of in-person meeting, right? Because we're social creatures. One of the, I think, disadvantages for our young entrants that started in the COVID days, I think it's very difficult. So if you have employees that started during the COVID days right out of school, I think there's a particular challenge in there because they're used to just working maybe completely remote. And as they adjust and go into the hybrid or on-site, they're going to struggle. And I think folks in management need to pay extra attention to this adjustment because they're just used to being remote. And I think it's difficult. Anybody have any difficulties? Sir, can you share maybe your story of what happened?
Well, we have a lot of our remote people try to install mouse wigglers.
You know what? That is a hilarious. Either wigglers or something that holds it down like the down arrow key, so it looks like it's something. Yeah. So, yeah. So here's the funny thing. In the olden days, I remember as a software engineer, like the first time you log in, there's that splash screen. Your consent of using this computer, you're going to be monitored, or you're subject to monitoring. Now, with remote work, it's interesting because if you use a VPN or something, I don't remember, like if you had a thin client, it would pop up something, some kind of disclosure. Do you guys have a policy that you disclose to all your employees that they could be monitored at any time? Do they know that, or they forget? Yeah, but the employee handbook is just did you yeah. Right, you could just say, well, it's employee handbook, and I'm sure they all read through the employee handbook every page, right? But you're right, it's their obligation. But I think this is one very interesting thing because I think if they knew that, they probably shouldn't do it, but maybe they do it anyways. Yeah. Okay. Yes, sir. Yeah. You.
On that is that a lot of kids, especially the Gen Zs that had remote school,
Yeah.
they just want to get out of school, right? So they learn these techniques going to school.
Okay.
And then they get the job and they go, I don't want to work today, so they try the same stuff at work, not
Say.
realizing they can just get fired.
Yeah.
It's not like you just get detention.
Yeah.
So there's a mentality that you have to go through, and I see it more in companies that have cultures where their people are going to work. They're not going to see the passion, right?
Yeah. That's a big difference, right? Yeah. This is an interesting one because sometimes, if you're friendly, like if HR was friendly instead of always stern, I'm just kidding to HR professionals, you can just say, one of the things we want to make sure you know here is, in the remote or hybrid world, we do measure productivity. So just want to make sure you're aware that, your productivity could be measured. And just want to say that. Just put that out there so they kind of know. I know sometimes people don't want to say anything like this because like, oh my gosh, I'm scared now. But the fact is, you guys in cybersecurity, everything should be monitored, right? How many of you guys know that one of the biggest threats are actually inside employees, especially contractors? I don't mean any disservice to contractors, but did you know that a lot of corporate espionage is very patient contractors who are actually bad actors, just going there collecting information for sometimes a year or two? Did you know that? It's real. So I don't know the secret sauce of detecting these bad actors, but they often come from the inside, which is actually kind of scary. Does anybody want to share a story about this that you can talk about? Don't reveal the company, please, but maybe you want to share. Does anybody want to talk about that?
I'll just say that there's a lot of AI tools that are now coming out that address that exact thing. To look for people that are doing anomalous behavior that isn't associated with their work.
That is very cool. I think that could be a worthwhile tool for the good, right, to counteract the bad. Yep. All right. So one quick thing, I've always been a corporate employee in my 33 years, and I got comfortable with that because I always felt that contract work was a little bit less stable. But I've realized now, and this one shares someone, if you ever have a chance to consider a contract or contract to hire, don't be afraid of it because mentally you might think it's less secure. People in full-time positions get wiped out every day. It's really not any safer than contract roles. I would say that typically senior management roles are not contract roles. Like, it's very hard that you might find a director or above as a contract or contract to hire. But everything else, I would say, think about it. Don't just say, it's not an employee role. I don't want to think about it. Sometimes the benefit of this is you get to check the company out, and the company gets to check you out before you commit. It's kind of like dating or something like that. I don't know. So there we go. I'm going to skip these. This is just what businesses should do. I think they're pretty basic and pretty rudimentary. We see a lot of global outsourcing. I believe in American companies and American talent. I actually don't like offshoring and nearshoring. Whenever I had control of it, I always like to use American resources for various reasons. For sure, which I can go into many, many tales. But unfortunately, corporate America, especially publicly traded companies, are under a lot of cost pressure, and they are doing offshoring, which in general I don't like. Nearshoring, maybe, but I still like to keep it in America if possible. Yes, sir.
I think that so most companies, when they get new leadership in, like to do that because they think it's cost savings to your point. But usually the return on investment
It's terrible.
comes back when
Yeah.
you actually have to rehire full-time employees.
Yeah, at more money.
It takes people that are offshore do that same thing that they had one onshore person
Yeah.
call it onshore.
Yeah.
Or basically also make products outside of maybe U.S. manufacturing or countries that are more established in manufacturing. They have to remake the product
Yeah.
4 or 5 times because
Yeah.
quality won't go.
The other thing, this is a little dark area they don't want to talk about, but contractors, when they don't feel like they're part of the family or the employee base, they are more lured to the dark side or espionage or steal secrets. We'll pay you this to get the secret formula for pledge. I'm going to get for SC Johnson's pledge. It's terrible. So I think people in upper management and stuff like that should really consider these outsourcing deals. The rest of the slide, I'm just going to go through very quickly. How are we doing on time? Because I actually want to give back time. All right, so we're at the 45-minute mark. AI is big. It's happening. It's going to happen. People need to understand and embrace how it might be used for good or bad. Soft skills. I'm in the people business because I believe, even though I was a hardcore software engineer, assembler is about as low level as you can get. It's all about soft skills, even as a technical person. I think, how many of y'all sat in with Johnny Christmas's presentation? He said, what is culture? Oh, it just means you're cool and they like you, which is a good proxy or a good analogy. Culture really is like the acceptable norms of behaviors, right? How we treat each other, how we interact with each other and things of that sort. But I would definitely encourage focus for management folks here about soft skills because we are social creatures, we're humans, and I'm pretty sure humans like to work with other humans that you like. I don't think humans like to work with people you don't like, at least not that I'm aware of. So it's important. Yeah, ATS systems are notorious. I don't think they're good, but you know what? They use them to keep the funnel of applicants out there, unfortunately. See this nearshore, offshore thing? I'm just going through these because I want to actually get to this last picture. This is my last slide. This is really funny, okay? So we did a little acknowledgement of our clients just by March Madness thing. I want you to look kind of closely on the left. This is the real picture. And the Gabaldi, or whatever, the Japanese anime tool, it's very famous. You guys know about the thing, you feed the picture and it gives you one of these things. Yeah, there's a couple interesting things in this picture here that was generated by ChatGPT, which is why I think humans are still necessary. I don't think you can just trust robots completely, at least not yet. Anyone notice any basic things that are kind of funny about the ChatGPT picture? Yes, you just raise, or just go ahead and say something loud. Yeah. It increased one person. Yes, you got instant head count. That's right. Anything else? Yeah, that's the first one, because you see two Bucks fans, you see two Chicago Bulls jerseys coming out of there. But you know what's interesting? There's two females next to each other. It's curious which one it actually duplicated. Yes. Very good. Very good. So it did some kind of influence by adjacencies. Anything else?
Unrelated to the image, something like this has probably been exponentially increasing data collection these days, right?
Oh, when you feed pictures to it? Yeah, don't feed any bad pictures to it, for sure. Yeah, I'm sure it probably has pictures. That's right. There's a couple of funny things with the pictures, like it kind of got confused where the one picture started and ended. Those are really subtle, so probably people don't care or know anything. There's, I think, one other thing in there. I can't, let me see. Maybe my eyes are bad here. I'm sorry? Yeah, there is some of that. Yes, I mean the wall was a little bit lighter in the back room, and it's now yellow in the right room. I think there's actually a misspelling, but I don't think you can see it. It's actually the word room is misspelled. As we know, room is R-O-O-M. I think it says R-O-U-M. And you would think it would check against a dictionary, right? Because I don't think there's a word R-O-U-M. So that could be a very easy refinement for the tool. Okay, I'm a little bit early, but if anybody else has any questions, typically when I give the other presentation, which looks like the other one, it's more about career advice or pivots from one sector to another. I'm glad to answer any questions, or offline. I'll be here just for a little bit, and then I have to head back out. But thanks for everyone's time. I think I gave back maybe 10 minutes, and enjoy the rest of your day and tomorrow. Thank you.